Hello, I want to show you how to do a CSS animation with text. I already started setting it up, but I'm going to kind of like start from scratch for you all. Okay, so since it's MLK Day tomorrow, I thought I would do MLK Speech. This was a jQuery version I'll probably finish a video on, but I want to do MLK Speech CSS. So this one is going to use CSS animations. I'm going to steal from it. So basically, I'm going to check this in as its own project. Oops. In what do you call it? in GitHub Desktop. So I made a new folder. It's not inside my my username folder. It's in my DES341. So this is going to be a whole new repository. Let's go to Visual Studio Code. I'm sure you can't find this now because I've moved it. Copy, find, how do I fix it? Oh, whatever, I don't care. File, add a new folder. So I'll just add the jQuery one so I can steal stuff from it. And I'm going to add the CSS one. Okay, whoops, go back one. You add. Okay, we can just get rid of this because this is gone. I wonder if, hang on, let me, okay, good. Unable to open, all right, well, whatever. Hopefully it'll be fine. Okay, here we go, MLK Speech. CSS. So we are first going to need, clicking madly, an index page. So I'm gonna highlight that folder and say index.html. And then I'm gonna use Emmet. That's a find replace. I'm going to use Emmet by doing exclamation point and then tab. And then I'll change this to MLK Speech. Oops. Okay. So what I did, I'll show you what I did in this HTML. It is, I put everything in a main box. So I want it to have like equal margin and padding. So I'm going to put it inside a box that I can size. And then that way I don't have to put it on this level. I can just put them all in a box that is kind of aligned to where I want. I'll show you that in a second. But I have a main box, and then all these other things are in divs. And I started to break them up into sentences because I want the text to be big, and I want it to be to fill up the page. And so I can't get some of these giant, like this whole thing is one paragraph. Oops. So I broke it up into sentences, and I just started adding divs, and I will add more as the project goes on. So I'm going to go scroll all the way down. It's a super long speech. I thought this would be a good project because how often have you read the entire speech? I don't. I hate these reference things. Okay. I don't think I have ever read the whole speech, to be honest. Maybe I've probably listened to it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go back to our CSS project. I'm going to paste. And now here I have all this stuff in here. I gave the first one a class, but I'm actually going to be using what's called a pseudo class for all these so that I can just call them by the number. Basically, we'll say, so we have this main with a class of dream, and all these are children. So these divs are like direct children of this one dream class. So I can say the first child, the second child, the third child, the fourth child, and call them that way. And then I don't have to have a whole bunch of classes. And let's say I decide to break up one of these into another, a smaller chunk. I don't have to go and like fix every class name. If I call them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have like a 4.5, I don't have to deal with that. So that's what I'm going to do. And also it shows you how cool pseudo classes are. So, so let's take a look at what we have so far. I'm going to say open CSS speech index. So here we are. We have no style yet. So let's add that. We're going to go into, we're going to click this. So it's highlighted. Click on new file. I'm going to call it style.css, and then I'm going to link it. So I need to link it within the head. So anywhere in here, I'll put it down here. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to use Emmet again, which will auto-fill this out for us. So I'm going to type link and then tab, and it'll give me that. I can type style.css because these files are right next to each other, so it doesn't have to look anywhere else for it. It's right there. And then first thing I want to do is, here's my body. I'm going to give my body that margin 0 because it automatically puts this 8 pixel margin, which is dumb. And then I'm going to give it a background color. You can just use the shortcut, which is just background. Since we're not doing anything else to this, I'm going to say background. And then the hex code for black is 000. And then I want all the text in the whole site to be white since I have a black background. So I'm going to use color, which is the text color, and white is FFF, pound FFF. Okay, so that should get me somewhere. If I refresh, now I've got white text, black background. And so here's that cool trick with margin auto where you can kind of decide how big you want something. So main is kind of going to be my margin box. So I'm going to say make main have a width of we'll do 70% of the page. And then we're going to say margin auto, and that's going to automatically give the right and left equal margin so that we end up with a 70% column with equal margin on the right side of the screen and the left side. Okay, so next thing, all those divs, I want them to have a margin on the top because they're kind of like paragraphs, but so what am I doing? Margin dash top, and then I'm going to make it like 80 pixels. I adjust that as we go get a font, and that is the next thing we're going to do. So let's go to fonts.google.com. Okay, the one I got, oh yeah, it's here, Tico. I decided to go with, or Teco, with Teco. I thought it was, I don't know, I just liked it. So I'm going to do that again. But I'll just get rid of it so I can just go through those motions again. So I'll just search for it since I know I want to use it. When I click on it, it lets me add styles. So in this case, I only want the boldest one. So I have added that here. This is the link to the style sheet. So I can copy all this stuff. This needs to go in your HTML file above your style sheet so that it's kind of there by the time you get to your style sheet when you're loading. Everything loads linearly, so that way it'll be there when your CSS loads. And then this is going to be how I call, oops, I always do Command S. This will be how I call the font. And I'll just do this as practice. Let me make sure this is the right file. Yep. I always like to just, especially if there's more than one font, just comment it out at the top so you have it available. So if you want to make a comment in CSS or HTML or JavaScript, you can hold down Command and then / and it'll give you whatever comment you need for that language. They're all a little bit different. I'm going to paste that in, but actually I don't even need to really because I'm just going to use one font. So I'm going to put it in the body and then it'll just inherit for any like HTML tag. So, oops, I always forget to turn off, hang on, let me turn off notifications. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. And we want to have a pretty big font, so I'm going to give it a font size of, let's try 80 pixels. And I don't even know if I need it because really I'm only importing the font weight of 700, but I'm just going to add font weight of 700 just to be sure. Okay, let's see what we've got now. Okay, cool. So that turns out to be perfect size for my screen, which is great. What I'm going to do is have it be always the viewport height of whatever the person has. And then these are kind of fitting pretty nicely until about the time where I stop. Yeah, so this is where I need to add more divs. So I want it to basically just show like the first screen, the second screen, and so I want them all to be about this much text. Okay, so moving on. So I want all of my divs to have a height of 100, and this is a cool trick. VH stands for viewport height. I could also, just for fun, oh, hold on, margin top. Let's think about this. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, I'm thinking. I think, yeah, I'll leave that here. I'm thinking ahead. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make an animation. I'm gonna put it on div in, actually I want to call it .dream div, just because div is so generic that I'm probably better off saying, okay, well, if it's part of the dream speech and it's a div, then we're safe. Okay, so dream div. I'm going to call it, I'm going to give it an animation dash name of, I want to have it fade in and out. So I'm going to call it fade in out. And then I'm going to give it an animation duration of 5 seconds. I'm going to give it an animation fill mode of 4 words. This just means that when it gets back to the, like when it gets to the end of the animation, it doesn't like pop back to the beginning. It's just sort of, yeah, a thing. Okay, sorry. Okay, forward 5 seconds. I think that's all we need for right now. So let's write up the animation. So I'm going to use a keyframe animation. So I'm going to say at keyframes, and then I'm going to call it by its name, fade in out. So basically when you put this here, it's saying if I'm a div, then call this animation. So keyframe, fade in out. This has curly brackets. And then you can put a bunch of different percentages. So at 0%, I want the opacity, I cannot spell that right, opacity to be 0. So it'll be invisible. And then at 100, I want opacity to be 1. Okay, so let's try that. Right now it's kind of targeting everyone. I'm just gonna, just for now, say div 1. Ugh, what did I just do? Mlk Speech. I think I just closed it. Okay. Div.1. So when there's no space in between, you're saying find a div with the class of 1. Whereas if it was like, if I said go into main and inside it find an HTML tag with the class of 1, it would have a space. So it's like kind of self-referential when you're calling it like div.1. Okay, let's take a look at what we have. Okay, refresh. Okay, cool. So it's fading in. Seems kind of fast, but that's okay. So I want it to also fade out. So what I'm going to do is I want it to end at opacity 0. So I'm going to put something in the middle, maybe like 60%. And I'm going to have that be opacity 1, and then it's going to go back to 0. So let's hit refresh. And then it fades away. Okay, sweet. I like it. And then the next one I want to come up. So if we look at this and we scroll, there's the next one. So how can we get the next one to show up where the first one is? Well, I can take advantage of this, this height of 100 VH. So it starts with a height, but after it goes back to a 0 opacity, let's make it a height of 0 of the viewport height and see if that will make the next one pop up. So let's refresh. Whoops, I gotta do this from here. Oh, that's kind of weird. But I guess this will be opaque as it's coming up. Let's just keep it how it is and see what happens. But it's doing basically what I want it to do, which is I want the next one to slide up. Okay, so let's talk about pseudo class. I'm going to go to W3 schools and look for, it's called nth-child. This is so cool. It's going to blow your mind. So you can basically say, this is going to look for if there's 3 or more paragraphs in a section, this will only apply to the 3rd paragraph. So let's see if okay, so cool. Here's first paragraph, here's the second paragraph. So this says, oh, nth child, 3, nth child, okay. Anyway, this is the header, this is the first, this is the second, and the 3rd child. Oh, it's the 3rd child because this is the parent, and so this is the first child, second child. Okay, got it. So that doesn't really apply to us. It will be just, yeah, we'll just be doing it by regular numbers. So, so here's what we're gonna do. We are basically, when you call the name of an animation, that's what makes it happen. But these things we can actually like keep in a more generic, like we can put this here. So all the divs have this going for them. And then when we call some specific animation, like in this case, nth-child, and then we're going to say 1. So when the first child loads, we're going to do animation name. And that's going to play that animation. It's going to play it over 5 seconds. Okay, and then, so we already know, let's make sure that it's doing the same thing it was doing a minute ago. Refresh. Okay, cool. So here's the magic. We're going to take this, we're going to copy it. We're going to say nth child 2, but we're going to give this one an animation delay that is the same amount of time that it takes for the animation to run. So the first or the second div should delay for 5 seconds before it starts. So, oh weird, that didn't delay. Hang on. Nth child 2 animation. Div nth child. What happened? Let's look. Oh, you know why? We need all these to start with an opacity of 0. That's what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to say make them all be invisible at first. And then when they play the animation will still keep it at invisible, but it'll like make it be viewport height of 100, and then it'll end up being a viewport height of 0. Let's see if that works. Okay, I'm happy. So the other one's rolling up, but we don't see it because it's invisible. And then it comes in, and then it fades away. Okay, and oh, the other one we don't see because it's invisible. So now we're just going to copy this. So this is going to be really tedious for such a long speech, but I think it'll be pretty cool. So this is the 3rd one. So that one, you noticed I changed it to 10 seconds because the first one will play, then the second one. So this one needs to play at 10 seconds. And then just for grins, let's just do 2 at a time because basically you're seeing a pattern now that all I have to do is add 5 to each one of these. So let's refresh. Do, 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 do. This is my elevator music. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. How come that had so much space on top? Oh, weird. Do you see how they're like kind of going down? So this is the general gist of things. I think the reason why they're going down a little bit is because of this margin. So let's take it out. And instead, we'll just put it on main, margin top on main. And that should do the same thing without adding a margin of 80 every time. So I'll probably just play this out. And if there's no other bugs, knock on wood, then I will save this and save the code for you so you can play around with it and think about a project that you would want to do similar to this. Okay, refresh. Whoops. Okay. Okay, cool. It's going in the right place. Sweet. And, I could adjust, I better be darn sure how long I want each one of these to be visible because I'll have to change that, you know, like every single instance. So I'd probably slow it down before. But there you go. So here is an idea for project one. Take some text that you love and have it animate like this while it's fading in and out. And you can add even some more nuances, but basically you can kind of think of all of these divs as sort of like one page, right? So I'm just kind of going through each page and showing and hiding it and kind of turning it. It basically makes it like 0 pixels tall. So it sort of, once it's shown, it kind of stacks up into invisibility. Cool. Okay, I hope that was fun and that it sparked some ideas. And now I will work on the second project one idea. All right, cool. Thank you.